Hey, welcome in.
Welcome to the Arrowhead Addict podcast.
We are here coming to you live. The Kansas City Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl. You only win a Super Bowl 2 times every 5 years, right? Oh! The warm-up act is over. Let's bring in Melissa Etheridge, massive Chiefs fan. Melissa.
Super Bowl champion, 2-time Pro Bowler, and Trent Green. Trent Green, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
He picked it up! He picked it up! He's gonna score! And we'll see you next week, but until then, as always, go Chiefs. Welcome into the Arrowhead Addict podcast, Chiefs post-game show. It is a victory party. Raise a glass to your undefeated 8-0 Kansas City Chiefs. Halloween is over, but the Chiefs had one more thriller for their fans on Monday Night Football with an OT win over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Again, that's 30-24. Patrick Allen here with you, as is Price Carter, Stuart Holmes. Lots to unpack here, fellas. Really interesting game, tons to talk about, but give me your overarching thoughts on this one. Let's start with you, Price.
Tell you what, tomorrow, big NFL media, they're going to be talking about everything but the Chiefs. They're going to be talking about how the Lions, they complete passes to their offensive linemen. And man, it's so cool to have Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson in the same backfield. And, they just talk about how all these other teams and how they lose. Well, you can just explain all those losses away. Every team loses regular season games. It happens, except for the Chiefs. The little bell curve meme. I just tweeted out the bell curve meme, where at the bottom end of the bell curve, there's the guy who's like, the Chiefs are the best team because they have the most wins. They're undefeated. Then there's the guy in the middle who's all about EPA and completion percentage over expectation and DVOA. Then there's the guy on the other side that says the team with the most wins is the best team. And the Chiefs, they just know how to win these games. Every team can have a bad game. It happens. It's very normal in the NFL. So if you're a Ravens fan or a Lions fan, you explain that away. But the Chiefs just don't have those. When they're down, they still find a way to win these games. That's that championship DNA. They know how to win these games. They are consistent. They are never terrible. They are never awful. And here they sit undefeated. My hot take, the 2-time Super Bowl champions, undefeated team is the best team in the NFL.
Yeah, Lions my ass. Sorry. It's the Chiefs. Bills my ass. Ravens my ass. It's the Kansas City Chiefs, especially now with what we saw from DeAndre Hopkins. When was the last time, if ever, you've seen Mahomes throw a 50-50 ball? I mean, seriously, that was the whole Tyreek Hill down there something, no D-Hop down there somewhere. 2 touchdowns for DeAndre Hopkins, Travis Kelce getting involved, bad fumble, Kareem Hunt. That is the identity. Now, I do want to see there's a lot of stuff going on in the chat right now. We'll get to some super chats, obviously. Appreciate y'all so much. But, the Chiefs do have an identity. I saw someone say the Chiefs don't. They do. It's physical football. It's running the ball. It's 27 carries by Kareem Hunt. It's, 12 of 12 on third down passing the ball with Patrick Mahomes? Because a lot of times it's 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, 3rd and 1. They're just so efficient moving the ball. They're not going to have explosive plays. That's not what this team is built on. Nothing encapsulates that better than Travis Kelce, 14 receptions for just 100 yards. I know just 100 yards, when you have 14 receptions, you're expecting them to go over 100 pretty by a lot. The defense had some issues. The offensive line had some issues. Baker Mayfield, hats off, right? They played a great game, but it wasn't enough. The Chiefs, as Price is saying, just found a way. That's all this Chiefs team does. They find ways to win. I see 27 carries by Kareem, not sustainable. They've been doing it with Kareem ever since he joined KC. They're just writing him out until Pacheco comes back, and they'll write him for 20-plus carries. This is who they are. They're a team that runs the ball pretty much on 1st and 2nd down, gets to 3rd and 2. Mahomes picked up the 1st down with his legs or his arm. They're 8-0 They're back-to-back Super Bowl champions. This is sustainable.
Shout out to Slothy for the super chat. As is his tradition, donates 30.24. That's the score of the game. Yeah, Beaches, you forking knew it. Never a doubt. And shout out to our guy, Angry Junket German, who gifted 10 Arrowhead Addict memberships. Snatch those up out there. Yeah, look, this game was. This is going to go down as one of those games where you forget that it even happened. Like, it was annoying, frustrating. The Chiefs played sloppy football. Like, very poor execution from them all around, particularly in the first half, that made this game feel, I'm sitting there in the third quarter and I'm like, we should be winning by 14 points, but we're losing by 4. And the Chiefs have a few games like this every year where they play like that, and they usually find a way to win because they're better than the other team. They just haven't executed better. And that was this game. And this is going to be a game, I'm telling you, I'm going to be like, if the Chiefs go and they win another Super Bowl, we talked about it next year. I'm like, hey, you remember that game, that weird game against Tampa Bay last year? And you're going to be like, what? No, I don't remember that, because it's just a footnote. It's a footnote in the Chiefs season. And my big takeaway from this, Sterling, is what you and I talked about last week on the postgame show, where it was really evident right away that DeAndre Hopkins, and I said this to you, he's going to eat in this offense. It's very obvious that he's going to eat in this offense. The question was, how soon is he going to eat? And the answer was, on Monday Night Football, 8 receptions for DeAndre Hopkins for 86 yards, 2 tutties, opening things up for Travis Kelce. This is the beginning of something. And I think you're right about the identity, running the football, ride Kareem Hunt until the wheels fall off. I think some of that's out of necessity with some of their concerns about the blocking on the offensive line. If they can sort out the blocking situation, maybe with a trade, I don't know if they will. I think this actually can be a very dangerous, explosive offense, because I think Xavier Worthy is going to develop. And I think that DeAndre Hopkins, obviously, chain mover, red zone threat, opening things up for Travis Kelce, who had 100 yards receiving in this game. So if they can block for Mahomes, you're going to start seeing more and more shots downfield. And then I think they're going to be really deadly.
Well, you saw it with Xavier Worthy early on. They tried. And, could Mahomes throw it a little more, towards the middle of the field? Sure. That's on Xavier Worthy. You got to make that play. Xavier Worthy, there's 2 ways of looking at Xavier the past 2 games. He's made some rookie mistakes. He's made some drops, some balls that you'd like him to come down with that he has not. But I look at it as the Chiefs are trying to get him involved more. Mahomes is looking his way. And he's getting open. These are all positives going forward. It's not costing the Chiefs wins. It's making games a lot closer than they need to be. But Xavier Worthy is going through his rookie lumps right now, but he is still getting open, and Mahomes is looking his way. You're seeing him, again, look, at least get opportunities to bring in the deep ball. I think that right there is still opening up the offense underneath for guys like Travis Kelce and, of course, DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, only 2 targets in this game for Xavier Worthy, which I think isn't necessarily a bad thing. He's got a lot to learn. Before that play where he caught the ball out of bounds, he had played essentially 7.1 NFL football games in his entire life. I know we're all impatient. We see the talent. We're excited to see him start tearing it up out there. But I think we need to be reasonable about not just how long it'll take a rookie like him to develop, but he's a different wide receiver than Rashee Rice and the positions that they put Rashee Rice in last year. I think I don't want to say it's a more difficult role that Xavier Worthy has, but it is a little bit than what they did with Rashee Rice, going and finding space underneath. He's going to be a deep threat. They want him to run some routes down the field. He's got to perfect his craft a little bit, get on the same page with Mahomes. It's going to take a little bit of time. So don't be impatient with Worthy. And as long as they've got Hopkins and Kelce, they've got all the time they need to allow him to develop throughout the course of this season.
Something to keep in mind, too, with Xavier Worthy, this is a rookie. Chiefs Hall of Fame center Tim Grunhard does a really good job of always highlighting the rookie wall and how these guys who are rookies, a lot of times they hit a wall around this time of year. You factor in all of training camp, 3 preseason games. He just played his 8th game. Like, that's about what a college football season is. These guys aren't used to the grind of the NFL for a season. Also, a guy who weighs as much as a paperweight, like, this is something that's real with him. And I think, like, when you were thinking about Xavier Worthy and his 100% outcome, a lot of times you were thinking about it with Hollywood Brown, with Rashee Rice, with Travis Kelce. And that's not an option right now. And, this offense looks a lot better flowing through Travis Kelce, 100 yards tonight. DeAndre Hopkins, 2 touchdowns, 89 yards tonight. That will certainly help Xavier Worthy, but the last couple of games, they've relied on him more than I think they honestly wanted to. Trade deadlines tomorrow. I don't know that they make another move at receiver, but if they do, that will certainly help. I think, like, if they were to make a move, it would probably be in the secondary from how it sounds. But Xavier Worthy is a guy who was always going to be a complementary player rather than a player you filter your whole offense through. And I think they've been trying to do that these last couple of weeks. And I think you've just seen, like, where his limitations are, which at pick 128, the 28th pick in the first round, I think that's really kind of what you expect from a receiver. Maybe you had your expectations of him being a true wide receiver 1, but that's not really how I ever saw it.
Yeah, I agree. Shout out to Rhett for the super chat. It says, with 3 minutes left, the offense has to be better. Who cares how many timeouts Tampa Bay has? Also, does the defensive performance lose us a playoff game? Look, man, I want to start on the defense real quick just because they're fantastic. This is the NFL. And I know that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were really banged up coming into this game. And if you look at it on paper, the Chiefs should have dominated them from a defensive standpoint. But go and look at how many points they've scored in their games. Look at what they did last week, the week before that. This is a well-run offense. And I know they're missing some guys, but they move the football, they run the ball well. They call the right plays at the right times. Baker's been playing well. Like, this offense is no joke, even being as banged up as it is. And it's just really difficult for an NFL defense to be completely locked down for an entire season at all times. I thought they did a nice job. They slowed Tampa Bay down. And credit Tampa Bay. Like, look at that last drive. Look at some of the plays that Sterling Shepard made. He turned back the clock a little bit. He made some really incredible plays. Baker got the ball out fast. Like, sometimes the other guys are trying to win too. I'm not worried about the defense at all. Joshua Williams, a little shaky, but I think they're going to be fine. As far as the 3 minutes left on offense, I thought they were way too conservative there. I thought they should have been more aggressive. What do you think, Sterling?
Yeah, first with the defense overall, I think they were fine. That final drive really puts a sour taste in your mouth, right? That's really the drive that I think you look at and say, okay, that's the lasting thought of the Chiefs defense. Overall, they were okay. Again, going back to the same point, yes, the Buccaneers are without their 2 best receivers, 3 best, honestly, if you count Jalen McMillan. They still put up 26 last week against the Atlanta Falcons. A win's a win. They found a way. They didn't overlook them. K. Dotton was involved, and we know the Chiefs defense is susceptible to pass catching backs and tight ends. That's what the Buccaneers have to begin with. But when it comes to that final drive for KC with 3 minutes left, I don't know how to view it. Like, they ran twice, passed once. I don't hate it. The result's not what we wanted. The result was not great.
I think the drop by Samaje Perine really just is kind of what ended up killing that. Because, I mean, you drain another 20 seconds off the clock there. You're at the 2-minute warning. You punt the ball. That just felt like, the screen probably wasn't getting a first down, but at least it gets you closer. Helps a little bit with field position. Him dropping that just was a brutal moment there, especially whenever it was an easy catch. And that's what he was brought in to do, to be the pass catching running back. Do I think that, that ultimately makes the game not go to overtime? Maybe, maybe not. But it certainly makes that a lot more challenging than it was for the Buccaneers, who really kind of just waltzed down the field and can kind of take their time there with how much time they had left, because they had 2 or 3 timeouts and the 2-minute warning there.
Yeah, I thought it was too conservative in the moment. Looking back on it, like, I can understand the thinking there. Hey, let's deplete these guys of resources. Our defense has been absolutely lights out all season long. Our offense is still a little disjointed. We're still working DeAndre Hopkins in. Let's not go crazy pushing the ball downfield, and where we make a mistake and we set them up in an even better position. We've got a really good punter. Like, let's pin them back. And I just think it was too conservative because I think there was just too much time left and they had all of their timeouts when that drive started, that throwing one incompletion there, like they were going to have enough time, even if they got one more timeout. I think they ended up with one timeout left in the 2-minute warning.
Sure, but you needed one first down. It was basically what it was. That's basically the math, was you needed one first. Again, I don't hate it. Just they had their 2 worst run plays of the day, and Samaje dropped a ball. Again, it wasn't going to be a first down, but it was at least going to force him to take that final timeout. I think because we know the result, and that's why we're so angry. But that was pretty much the game plan the entire fourth quarter, was run on first and second down, pass on third, and it had worked. I don't want to play revisionist history because we know the results right now. In the moment, I was fine with it. Looking back now, obviously, because the Buccaneers scored. But the Chiefs defense, again, I thought was somewhat coming into their own. They've been great all season long. I don't know, man. I think we're doing a little bit of we know the results, so we're going to be angry about that final drive. But I think in totality, I'm okay with it. I think if they play the same way in the playoffs, I don't know if I'm going to complain.
I'm generally in favor of being aggressive in those situations because I would rather have the ball in Patrick Mahomes' hands to win the game than you're just, as great as the Chiefs defense is, you're at an inherent disadvantage in the NFL if you're playing on defense in a critical situation. You just are. You don't know what the other team's going to do. They have a slight advantage over you. And so I'm in favor, especially in a situation where they have so many resources in terms of timeouts, a 2-minute warning, throw it on first down, like run a play action. They're stacking the box. You're going to have good matchups on the outside. Run some play action, see if you could get that first down. And now, you're in a really good spot. But you're right, Sterling. Like, we're nitpicking a little bit. Like, it worked out for them in the end. And credit, it did take a lot for the Bucs to move the ball down the field there. They really made some great plays. Shout out to Anthony for the super chat. D-Hop is ad-libbing bombs with 15. Be scared, NFL. I agree, man. Like, let's talk a little bit about DeAndre Hopkins and also Mahomes in this game, because first game of the year, Mahomes didn't throw an interception. Shout out to him for that. This is a really good game from Mahomes. 34 of 44, 291 yards. Not a crazy average, 6.6, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, dealt with some pressure, had some nice runs. Sterling, how did you think Mahomes played, and what do you think of this Mahomes-Hopkins connection?
Well, I think the last few weeks, he's started to really turn it on. I mean, the interceptions outside of this game have still been there post-bye, but he's been on an upward trajectory. I said last week, I think was probably his best game of the season, and all of a sudden, now you're seeing this week. I mean, he's really coming into his own. He's getting more comfortable with everyone out there, I guess, with maybe the people who are he expected to play with, right? I mean, that has to be a big deal. You thought you had Hollywood. You thought you had Rasheed. You don't. So you're trying to figure out what you got, who you got, and how they're going to operate. They thought the deep ball was coming back. They obviously have not been able to get on the same page there, so they've had to adjust. And I think we're seeing him adjust mid-season, and now we're seeing the results, the comfortability of Mahomes really shining. 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. We can talk about the injury, but what a play, getting that ball to Samaje Perine. DeAndre Hopkins in the red zone is clearly going to be an issue for other teams, especially if you try to just go up one-on-one against D-Hop, which, again, if you try and double him, what do you do with Travis Kelce, which also means, does that going to give you some lighter boxes for a Kareem Hunt? This is going to be an issue for defenses to try and figure out. But you're right. This was one of the best games Mahomes has played all season long. Very, very impressive. Even with the bum ankle, he came back, tried to fake a run, was able to throw across body to Travis Kelce. That connection is really growing as the season's gone on. Past few weeks, Kelce's coming to his own, which has obviously helped out Mahomes. His safety blanket is back. Yeah, man. I mean, if you're the NFL, Mahomes has not played good football until the past couple of weeks, and the Chiefs are still 8-0 with all those injuries. The rest of the NFL should be shaking in their boots.
Price?
Boy, I think for a long time, Patrick Mahomes has lacked an easy button as a quarterback these last couple of years without Tyreek Hill. Obviously, Travis Kelce has been awesome, and he's a Hall of Famer. But nowadays, Travis Kelce is more of a catch the ball and get down type of guy rather than a yak option, and a guy who, wins in some contested catch situations, but I wouldn't say that it was his strong suit. But when Patrick Mahomes threw that ball that looked like an absolute sack down the field, threads it between 3 defenders, and DeAndre Hopkins comes down with it. That was just the ultimate, like, wait, is a wide receiver bailing out Patrick Mahomes here in a moment? And it felt so good because they just don't have that. And they haven't had that in so long. And seeing those 2 catches in the red zone that converted into touchdowns, it was just so nice to see where a receiver is a viable weapon down there. And maybe this will teach the Chiefs a lesson about, hey, maybe we should prioritize guys who can win down there in contested catch situations. I actually thought one of the best plays from Hopkins today was that RPO where they fired it over to the middle of him, and Mahomes threw an absolute laser to DeAndre Hopkins, and Hopkins just reels it in. And there's just something about when I watch certain players on the Chiefs, whether it be Xavier Worthy, McCole Hardman, I get nervous when the ball is thrown their way, and it's like, oh, please catch it. Please catch it. It's just PTSD from last year. When Hopkins gets thrown the ball, I don't feel that at all. I just know that he is going to bring it in. He catches it with such strong hands. He attacks the ball when it's in the air, and it feels great to see him catch the ball. And I think if it wasn't for me wanting to die on my couch when I saw Patrick Mahomes' non-contact injury, that pass to Pirine was a great freaking play. And we're not going to give it any credence because we were all getting ready to just die. Like I told, like my wife was in the other room, and I told her, "Hey, just to let you know, I think Patrick Mahomes is out for the season. I want to die." Thank God that wasn't the case. That wasn't the case, but I was ready. I was ready to offer up my other ankle in that instance.
I agree with everything you said about Hopkins. You know that contact is coming with some of those smaller guys, and you're worried about the ball popping out and interceptions and all this stuff. He's a little bit more like Kelsey in that, he's going to be able to protect the ball with his body. He snatches everything, big body on the goal line, the red zone. He could just box these cornerbacks out and get the touchdown. And we saw him do it tonight. On the Mahomes injury scare, there's only been one other time where I thought Mahomes was done for the season. And that was when he dislocated his knee against the Broncos on the quarterback's knee. I was in a casino in a sports book in Vegas at the time. And I remember just putting my head down on the bar because I was like, oh, this is it. Like he's ripped his knee apart. He's done. And the bartender came up to me and she said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "No." It's just like Jameson. Now he ends up coming back. We win the Super Bowl. And this was the second time where when I saw him sitting on the ground, there was a shot of him and some Chiefs players were coming over to him. And he said something to them. And I was completely sure that what he said to them was, "I'm done. Like, I'm done." And then when you see him get up and he's getting helped across the field, I'm like, fuck me, man. This sucks.
You sure you didn't say I'm good?
Right. Well, when I saw him running on the sidelines, I was like, oh yeah. But I'll be honest with you guys, man. I went to a dark, dark place. Like a dark, dark place.
I was in such a dark place that I told my wife, I was like, this is the worst possible time. They're just good enough that they'll win enough games. They'll get average draft picks. If he gets hurt like this, it needs to happen week 1 or 2. That way they can get a top pick and get a top prospect. Like I already went to the draft.
So little faith of Andy Reid. I said, this sucks. I am sad, but we're going to fight through. I can't wait to see Carson Wentz lead this Chiefs. It's going to be full circle for Carson Wentz. He's now the guy that comes in for the injured MVP candidate and wins the Super Bowl. See, that's what I was really going.
But here's the thing, that can't happen because then the rest of Patrick Mahomes' career is going to be like, well, anyone could win. Carson Wentz won. Like anybody can win. And that, here's my thing. Patrick Mahomes' ankles, Achilles, the Greek mythology hero, right? They dipped him in the river. He has all the superpowers except for his Achilles tendon, which is his weak spot. Mahomes is clearly a god. We know that. And when they dipped him in, they just missed the ankles. The guy's got weak ankles. Everything else is hero proof, but the ankles they're scary. I get concerned about his ankles.
Yeah.
A couple super chats to get. Let's get to a couple super chats right here really quick. Justin Hayes says, thank you. By the way, Justin says, Mahomes looks so fluid. Watch out. And D-Hop. Edric says, thank you for the super chat as well. Edric says, there's an alternate timeline where they go for 2 and our stomachs sink, right? Yeah, let's talk about that. Because it made all the sense in the world. I think if the Buccaneers to go for 2 there, it's raining. You have the Chiefs defense on their heels after they have been, I think, the Chiefs defense, had held their own the majority of the game, but you really had them going back right there. You had the momentum. Do you want to face Mahomes in overtime? I know you're basically basing the game on a coin flip at that point. I don't know about you guys, but I was shocked. And it seemed like a very quick decision that the Buccaneers said, we're not going for 2.
It's crazy, man. If I told you that you could win the game, what would you pick, right? Your options are get the ball on your 30-yard line and drive it down the field and score a touchdown in overtime if you win the coin toss, or get 2 yards in one play. There's no choice. You might lose either way. One of them is just going to take longer. You have all the momentum if you're Tampa Bay in that situation. The Chiefs defense has been on the field for a drive. They're tired. They haven't been taking plays off on that drive. They're trying to stop you so that they can win the game. They're beat. Todd Bowles, just a little foreshadowing here. When we do Earning Their Arrowheads, Todd Bowles is getting an arrowhead for that absolutely insane decision not to go for 2. I thought for sure, we were at a 50-50 chance of losing that game. I'm incredibly relieved that he made that decision. And, people, I know with the election coming up tomorrow, and I'm not trying to get political, people talk about, Trump derangement syndrome. Well, this is Mahomes derangement syndrome. These coaches, teams, they don't know what to do. At the end of games, people panic. They tackle people. They get bad penalties. They hit Mahomes out of bounds. Head coaches are like, should I go for 2? Wait, I'm about to beat Patrick Mahomes. I don't want to screw it up. What if I screw it up? Let's just play for overtime. Hope we win the toss. I just think Todd Bowles, massive mistake, and really a critical point for his team. I think we're lucky that the Bucs were 500 coming into this game, because if they were 6-1 or something, they're going for 2. And if they're 1-6, they're going for 2 because they've got nothing to lose. This they really needed this win, the Bucs, and I think that helped a little bit too, where he was like, "Hey, I really got to get this win. Let's just kick the field goal and play for overtime."
The one thing I will say, and this might be completely galaxy brain, and maybe I'm giving the Buccaneers and Bulls way too much credit. If they go for 2 and get it, the Chiefs then obviously are going for the win with all 3 timeouts, with just needing a field goal to win, right? But in a tie game, they're not going to be quite as aggressive, right? So the Chiefs in that situation, I don't want to say are playing for overtime, but 90% of them are playing for overtime. So I wonder if that's the thought process of, all right, if we go up 1 here, there's enough time. We've seen the 13 seconds game. The Chiefs have 3 timeouts. They can move the ball, kick a field goal, and win. But if we go with a tie game here, maybe the Chiefs will just try and send this game into overtime, which the Chiefs kind of did, right? They weren't extremely aggressive. So I wonder if that was a thought process at all, or if I'm giving the Buccaneers and Bulls a little too much credit here.
Yeah, but it goes right back on Bulls because he called that timeout way too early instead of running down the clock to the point where there wouldn't have been a shred of time left for the Chiefs if the Bucs were to score. That's just all on him, just bad game management.
A pretty astute point there, Sterling. You should do this for a living. You're pretty good at this. I always come back to this. If you had to get in a 3-point shooting contest with Steph Curry, like me, tubby old me, trying to outshoot Steph Curry in a 3-point contest, would you take 10 shots or 1 shot? 1v1, 1 shot. There's a chance that maybe me laying it up granny style could go in and Steph Curry shot wouldn't, right? In this instance, the Chiefs are Steph Curry, right? They're the superpower that just wins almost all the time, always. You have a chance to end the game there on 1 play. Maybe Trent McDuffie falls down. Maybe Chris Jones falls down, or whatever random thing happens. Or, something that happens a lot of plays, a penalty. And then they get the ball at the 1-yard line and get a chance at 2 points. They had a chance to end the game there, and they didn't. Now, Sterling makes a really good point there. If they don't get it, they lose the game automatically, right? Because they're down 1 point. The Chiefs get the ball back. They can just kneel it out. Or, I think we saw a really good example of this in the Super Bowl when the Chiefs deferred and got the ball back. They had all 4 downs to play with there. And that really made a difference because they knew exactly what they needed to get. Either way, I think this is kind of plays into the larger summation of Todd Bowles, which is a defensive-minded coach who plays not to lose instead of to win. And I think I think the best moniker to judge some of these decisions is, what does your opponent want you to do? We as Chiefs fans all breathed a sigh of relief when we saw that kicker run out on the field. And I feel like that's a pretty good example of like, hey, maybe we should have went for 2 here. And I don't know, like, would they've got it, would have not have gotten it? I tend to think the Chiefs defense here played better than they might have actually on the score sheet, considering one of the touchdown drives came with like a 45-yard kick return in that play, and then a 15-yard horse collar by Joshua Williams that eventually led to a touchdown. That's like 65 of the 100 yards or whatever they got to score the touchdown there. But either way, as a Chiefs fan, I was relieved to see the kicker run out on the field.
Well, if you want to win like the Chiefs, and if you have stones, unlike Todd Bowles, Patrick, what do we have for them?
Yes, that's a great that's a great point, Sterling.
You should do this for a living, Sterling. The transitions, the seamlessness.
You know what we have for them is we've got Underdog Fantasy. Underdog is the place to play if you're a sports fan and you're looking to win money while watching sports. With over 5 million happy players and 2 billion won, Underdog makes it fun and easy to catch all of your favorite athletes' performances. Compete against other players just by selecting higher or lower on 2 or more player stats, and you could win up to 1,000 times your money. So turn every touchdown into a win with Underdog. This is the best place to cash in all your football takes. Which player is going to go off, which one's going to be ice cold. You could have bet on D-Hop today. Was he going to score a touchdown, higher, lower, all that stuff. And you can just make your entries with a few taps on their really simple and easy to use app. So, join the 5 million fans that are already playing on Underdog with their champs games. You can win money by making entries on your favorite players. So just download the app today. Use our code Arrowhead. That's all one word to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. Again, that's our code Arrowhead. All one word to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. Sterling, you're up, brother.
It must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama, Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. Arizona, 1-800-NEXT STEP, 1-800-639-8783, or text next step to 53342. New York, call 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-HOPE-NY, or text HOPE-NY 467-369.
Very good. Well done.
I give it a 9.5 out of 10. You stumbled.
Yeah, that was a 9.1. That was an 8 something.
I'm used to scrubbing the podcast at 1.5 speed on Spotify, so I don't know. That might have been too fast. I might not have.
I didn't have my water. I didn't have my water here, so I'm very thirsty before I went into it. But no excuses, just results. I'll be better next time, boys.
Players make plays.
Yeah.
Let's get back to the game and talk about some of the things that went down here. I want to talk a little bit about Kareem Hunt, man. 27 carries, 106 yards, 3.9 average, 1 touchdown, along at 15. Early in the game, the Bucs. I saw people on Twitter saying, "Hey, Andy's throwing too much. He's got a shiny new toy in D-Hop. He's getting away from the run." But the Bucs were having a lot of success against Kareem Hunt early in the game. I think at halftime he was averaging under 3 yards per carry, like 2.9 or something like that. So they were bottling him up, stacking the box a little bit, and the Chiefs were moving the ball through the air. I think that's the thing that they were hitting big plays down the field to Travis Kelce, who had 100 yards, but it was like something stupid would happen. Either Kelce fumbled, they had Worthy for a touchdown, it didn't work out. So there was nothing wrong, in my opinion, with the plays that they were calling. They were working. The Chiefs just didn't execute. And when it got later in the game, they needed to calm down a little bit and just kind of get back to getting positive yards and not putting too much pressure on their offensive line, which worked. But Price, talk to me about what Kareem Hunt is giving this team right now.
I thought that this was a really gutty performance from the Chiefs running offense, especially when you factor in early in the game, they were not having a lot of success. Vita V, an all-world nose tackle from the Buccaneers, was really dominating in the first part of this game. And the Chiefs, it looked like they were kind of abandoning the run a little bit, and they were going more towards the pass. and they were having success there. But the Chiefs continued to wear down the Buccaneers with that run game. And I felt like Kareem Hunt only got stronger as the game went along. And I thought one thing that kind of coincided with that was the rain. Like, I don't know, maybe it was just an aesthetic thing. As the rain started coming down, it just seemed like Kareem Hunt started getting stronger. And also, it's no coincidence that the passing game opened up a little bit more, too, when Kareem Hunt got going. Kareem Hunt, we all saw the graph that kind of went around X last week, where basically on one side you have explosive runs, on one side you have productive runs, and then below you have like non-explosive and unproductive. Kareem Hunt is the king of productive runs, but not explosive runs. And we got a couple of explosive runs for him. I think he had a 12 and a 15-yard game here, into putting the game on ice here too as well. We can all kind of talk around the Kareem Hunt as the person and the reason why he left Arrowhead. But I do think it's really good to see him score a game-winning touchdown in Arrowhead. The redemption arc, it's a big part of who Andy Reid as a person. I thought we saw a lot of great out of Kareem Hunt, and I just really, really hope that the Chiefs view this backfield when Isaiah Pacheco comes back as a thunder and lightning situation rather than like a complimentary back, because I think Kareem Hunt's earned that, and the red zone is just really where he features his best skill set.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. I mean, I would like to see almost a Nick Chubb Kareem Hunt split, but maybe Kareem Hunt's the Nick Chubb in that situation, right? Although a little different because Kareem Hunt is a better pass catcher than Pacheco. But split wise, I'd like to see maybe 55% of the snap share go to Kareem, 45 for Pacheco when he comes back. I think early on the Chiefs somewhat struggled. One, they abandoned the run fairly early on because they were getting so much pressure. The Buccaneers up the middle, Vita Vea. That entire Buccaneers front was feasting. I mean, the first half, I thought Trey Smith, Creed Humphrey, Joe Thuney, all three kind of got their ass kicked. It was the entire offensive line. They were just befuddled by whatever the Buccaneers were doing. That O-line was confused. Second half came around. They got a little things going. You're right. The rain almost opened up the game for Kareem Hunt. I don't know if that was the juice the O-line needed, if that was the juice Kareem Hunt needed. But also, I think the Chiefs' game plan, they early on kept trying to run to the outside and doing some sweeps in these outside zones. Well, the Buccaneers linebacker core are the fast guys. They're not really the downhill hitters. So when you're doing that, you're actually playing to the Buccaneers' strengths. I was a little confused by that. And then the Chiefs had the most success running the ball when they ran where? Up the middle. That was where they had the most success. That's where they've been having the most success all year long. Kareem Hunt's vision, I think, was on full display, especially late in that game, slithering for 3-4. And as you mentioned, Price, that 15-yarder specifically. I think the Chiefs need to almost stop. I saw some questions earlier. Do the Chiefs need to stop the trick plays? I don't know if stopping the trick plays is the right word or terminology here, but on some of those, the double reverse, for example, the Chiefs' offense isn't quite explosive enough to handle the negative outcome of that play, right? Like, I don't know if the positive outcome of that play outweighs the negative of that play. I think what the Chiefs need to do is continuously run the football up the middle, which is wild to say in the year 2024 when Mahomes is your quarterback. But the way Kareem Hunt is running the ball, damn, it's worth it.
And I think I think the Buccaneers were just tired. Like, that was a big part of it. You wear these teams down doing this. So, and we've been talking about this all year on the postgame show. The Chiefs won the time of possession in this game 40 minutes and 42 seconds to 25 minutes and 10 seconds. If the other team they're not on the field, they can't score, and that means their defense is out there getting battered, getting hit by Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith and Joe Thuney over and over and over again, where they're on the offensive on these long drives that the Chiefs have. Kansas City was tremendous on third down, 12 of 18. They had 11 drives to Tampa's 9. They just kind of shot themselves in the foot a few times. But when Pacheco comes back, I think everybody thinks of Pacheco as this power runner because of his running style and the way he jumps up he just goes charging in there. He has a tremendous amount of speed. He's really fast. We haven't seen the big explosive plays from him too much, except for when he's like bounced it outside, because the Chiefs don't run the ball that much. He's still pretty young. He's still developing his vision and all of those types of things. I think when he comes back, we're going to start seeing those explosive plays because the Chiefs have an established identity, as you mentioned, Sterling, of running the football up the gut. And now they have two guys. It's really just been Pacheco, right? So he's tired. Now you can hammer them. Kareem Hunt's strong. Like, he's really impressive as how he's getting older and he's moving piles. He's getting you 2-3 extra yards. Just wait for them to wear teams down and then put Pacheco in and just watch him fly through the middle and hit big plays. It's coming.
I love this, by the way. It's going along with that. This is from Wiley Possum. Wiley, appreciate the super chat. Always appreciate you. And the super chat's great. It says, Kareem is our trusty work truck. Kelsey and D-Hop are the SUVs that bring the groceries home. So what, we aren't a Ferrari on O this year. We're dirty and ugly, and at times, it doesn't matter. We're 8-0. Let's MFing go. Wiley, that's a great super chat right there. Love that. I love Kareem is our trusty work truck. That's perfect.
Yeah.
To your point about wearing down defenses, a tweet from Bill Barnwell of ESPN. He says, Chiefs passing EPA per down rank. On first down, they are 22nd in effective points added. On second down, they are 19th. On third down, they're first. And the second place team is closer to 11th place than they are to first. Wow. The Chiefs are a third down monster, and that helps them extend drives. And that's part of the reason why, I was kind of joking about people not liking them analytically, but it's part of the reason why teams aren't supposed to be this successful at third down, but the Chiefs are. And part of that is like, hey, I saw this comment in the chat. The Chiefs are Marty Ball with a Hall of Fame quarterback. And that's exactly right. They can run the ball efficiently. They can play defense. And then every once in a while, they ask Patrick Mahomes to put on the cape, and he does. It's an effective formula, and it has worked well for the postseason. The Chiefs are the 41st team to start 8-0. Their average margin of victory is 7 points per game, which is the smallest of any team since the 2006 Colts. That team won the Super Bowl, by the way. Like, this is a formula that works. And the Chiefs, they just know how to win it. And, Tyrann Mathieu isn't here anymore, but he's the one who started that phrase of championship swagger, championship DNA, and it was on full display tonight.
I see Gizmo in the chat says, did you guys hear D-Hop's post-game on the field comments? I've seen some, and one of my favorites is from D-Hop saying, quote, words can't describe it. Been patient. A dream come true. My first win in a stadium like this on a team like this. Keep building momentum. And then he also went on to say, with playing with Mahomes, says, quote, I've manifested this. I've seen it already. My mom and I knew this day would come. I had a chance to talk with JJ Watt today, and that interview is going to be coming out a little bit later on this week. But I asked JJ about DeAndre Hopkins. Obviously, they played together in Houston. And he's like, you're getting a guy whose catch radius is absurd. And he also said he can't wait to watch him play with a quarterback like Mahomes. And JJ, very nice guy that he is, was like, he's not played with some of the best quarterbacks, not taking a shot, but basically saying DeAndre's never played with a quarterback on the same level as Patrick. And I think you're seeing it right now, and you're hearing the words of DeAndre postgame, just the exuberance of what this means for him.
Well, our own Adam Best said it, right? DeAndre Hopkins is like Andy Dufresne in Shawshank Redemption, the man who crawled through 200 yards of shit and came out clean on the other side. That's DeAndre Hopkins' career. Deshaun Watson, the Texans, the Cardinals, the Titans, and now he arrives in Kansas City. And tonight, what was it doing? What happens when Andy Dufresne gets out of the shit sewer and gets into the river and looks up at the sky? The heavens open up. The rain comes down and washes him clean. And that's what happened to DeAndre Hopkins tonight, where he had his big game in Kansas City. I'm with you guys, man. This team is only going to get better. And the other thing we're not talking about when we talk about how they run up the middle, like, what does that do? What does that do to a defense? Where are the Chiefs having success throwing the football this year, especially tonight? Up the middle, baby, on the seams. They're not throwing it a lot to the outside the hashes to Xavier Worthy and these guys. They're getting these passes straight up the middle. Pick your poison, man. You want to try to stop the Chiefs on first down? Like Mahomes is going up to the line, like I'm telling you, Peyton Manning style with a couple of plays. And he's looking at that defense. If he wants to throw on that play, he's got to pass. And if they're not stacking the box, he's going to run it. So like it's been 8 games already. I've been kind of waiting, like, are teams going to are they going to try to stop this? Like there's a pretty clear formula of what the Chiefs are doing to win. I don't think you can stop it because, as you guys pointed out, as I think it was Price that said, Marty Ball at the Hall of Fame quarterback, fine. You want to stack the box on first down against Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. You don't think they're going to throw the ball? You don't think they're going to challenge you deep, those two? It's a pick your poison. And most defensive coordinators are going to pick, I would rather have them grind me to dust and have a chance of, Kelsey having his yearly fumble or, a penalty or something like that and gives me a chance than to let Patrick Mahomes score on me in one play.
Which happened, by the way. It happened. The Chiefs had the Xavier Worthy, which turned into a punt because Mahomes got sacked. It went from 7-0. They had the penalty on Trent McDuffie on third down that should have been called on Sterling Shepard. But again, we're adults, so we don't always blame the refs if the Chiefs would have lost this game. But that was a penalty on Shepard. That was a third down that led directly to a touchdown for the Buccaneers, right? You did have Kelsey's yearly fumble thrown in there as well. Again, it's one of these situations where I'm not making excuses, but the Chiefs don't play clean games. They don't. And they keep finding ways to win. And I don't know if you want to look at that as a positive, saying, well, when the Chiefs do play a clean game, look out. But I think you have to view that as a positive, is that they're playing down to competition. They're not playing the cleanest football games out there, and they're still 8-0. To me, again, it's a team that knows how to win close. Am I thrilled by a lot of these miscues? No, I am not. But it's better to win with miscues than lose with miscues. And they've shown an affinity time and time again of they win these type of games. Even if the turnover margin does not go their way, they still find ways to win. It's incredible.
I got to tell you, I am so sick. And this has been happening for years now, but it's especially magnified this year. I am so sick of listening to people whine, like pundits on TV and stuff, about the fact that the Chiefs don't play pretty football. Who cares? Price said it at the top of the show. They're gonna come on Monday and they're gonna be in these studio shows on ESPN and Fox Sports. They're gonna be like, "Oh, the Lions, they play such a beautiful brand of football." And Dan Campbell, and Lamar, he's gonna win another MVP, and Derrick Henry, and he's running all over the place. The one game where Derrick Henry didn't run all over everybody this year against Kansas City Chiefs. Do you know what happened in that game? The Chiefs beat the Ravens. The Chiefs beat the Bengals, who can play pretty football on offense when they have their shit together. It doesn't matter, man. It doesn't matter. All these teams, all their regular season bullshit, all their accolades, all their stats, all that stuff, when they get to the playoffs, it doesn't matter. It's about the team that Mahomes said it in one of the interviews on the sideline today, where he talked about being in situations and we've been in a lot of different situations. Maybe it was in the pregame with James Palmer. We've been in a lot of different situations. We know what to do in all of these situations. We know how to win football games. That's all he cares about. He doesn't care about the stats. So great. Let Jared Goff and David Montgomery, and Jahmyr Gibbs, and Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Lamar, let them pile up the stats all year and let the Chiefs go get the 1 seed and let them come to Arrowhead and watch the Chiefs and their coaching staff out game plan them again and beat them again. The Chiefs winning the way that they're winning with the insane list of injuries that they have right now is absolutely mind-blowing. What people should be talking about when they talk about the Chiefs in these studio shows is holy crap, Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Chris Jones, these cats are different, man. They are different. How many teams out there, do you think if the Lions lost Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, Amon-Ra St. Brown, that they'd be winning jack shit right now? No chance. No chance.
It'd be the Niners.
Right. Even the Niners, who I think has the second, I think they have the second best coach in the NFL, arguably, right? And Shanahan, they're struggling with the injuries. It's remarkable. The Chiefs went to they went to the damn Dollar Tree and they were like, oh yeah, we'll take the Kareem Hunt and the Juju Smith-Schuster.
Hey, don't you go ripping on the Dollar Tree now. Don't you go ripping on the Dollar Tree now. That was my spot.
Yeah.
When Southern
Dollar
Indiana
trees are bad
right there.
for
Don't
bad
you do
for
that.
neighborhoods. They're bad for neighborhoods. I just, it's incredible. And they should just be heaping praise on not just the players, but this organization, Brett Veach, top to bottom, for what they've been able to do to win with what, like, it's unprecedented. Like, it really is.
To me, the thing that bothers me about it, and like, let's all admit, right? We're all wearing red. We're up here at 11:22 p.m. talking about the Chiefs. Like, we're all biased, right? Like, let's take out the red and gold glasses for a second. I don't want them to spend 30 minutes talking about how great the Chiefs are, because I know that doesn't really sell. What I do want, though, is people look at Chiefs wins and they say, what's wrong with the Chiefs? Why are they not winning by more? What's wrong with them? And then they look at losses by other teams and say, well, this happens, but like, look at how all these stats, look at all these metrics, look at all these cool things that these teams do. It's so great. And it's just frustrating because it's like, no, you're ignoring the point. The point is that the Chiefs always win the games. The Chiefs have won 14 straight games. My daughter, who was born in January, the week of the AFC Championship, has never seen the Chiefs lose a football game. She's also not been awake for most of the games, but that's neither here nor there. The Chiefs just won like their whatever consecutive game without scoring 31 points. The last time they scored 31 points was November 26th against the Raiders in Las Vegas, and they haven't lost a game. Like, that's crazy. They just know how to win these games. And again, I know we kind of just keep repeating the same point, but that's the thing, is that like, I don't expect people, NFL media, to gush over the Chiefs, because no one wants to hear that. Like, it's old news at this point. But what I do want them to do is to give them credit for winning the games, instead of taking every win and being like, oh, is this a sign of what's to come? Because I feel like every time the Chiefs win a game, the primary storyline is like, oh, it's not sustainable. They can't keep doing it. This and that, like, it's coming. They're on fraud watch, and that's just kind of the silly thing about it.
I would like to hear them heap praise on the Chiefs. And I'm sorry, Sterling, because you know what they're going to talk about for 8 hours tomorrow morning is they're going to spend 8 hours droning on about the garbage ass Dallas Cowboys, who are terrible and are what, 3-5, and they're going to be like, oh, Dak Prescott, what's it mean? And they're going to talk about the stupid, crappy New York Giants haven't won anything, and they're 2-7, and Daniel Jones sucks ass. And should they trade for a quarterback? Like, that's what they're going to spend their time talking about. Like, what NFL football fan wants to sit there and listen to them talk about Dak Prescott and the Cowboys? Give me a break, man.
It's because there's one fan base that wants to hear people talk about the Chiefs. As Jeremy says, in the chat, 31 other markets want to hear about how other teams, their team even, might have a chance to beat the Chiefs, or why the Chiefs aren't just this Goliath, and why any other team has a chance. It's easy for 31 other teams to hate the champion, the back-to-back Super Bowl champions. Like, it's so easy. So are you going to appease the one, or are you going to appease the 31? That's just marketing.
But it's market bias. If the Cowboys were 8-0, guess what? It'd be wall-to-wall Cowboys coverage.
But it's also a very large market, and they also know they can get a lot of eyes on that. Same thing with the Jets, with Aaron Rodgers. A lot of it is marketing. I don't think a lot of those guys even believe what they're posting on there. Let's be real. You think Mad Dog or Stephen A. Smith believes all the smack and dumbassery that they spew? No, they're just doing it to get a rise.
I know they don't, man. I've been working in this industry since 2009, but we deserve better as fans. And I think people are sick and tired, and it's why they don't tune into these shows as much anymore. And it's why, I actually think, take a look at First Things First with Nick Wright, who's obviously a huge Chiefs homer. Like, they talk about the Chiefs. They have a fun, playful show that they do that is, it's like totally, like, they have serious conversations, but it's also not serious. Like, it's sports. And I think that's the difference between, I know I'm going on a little sidetrack here, but like, the First Takes of the world and what they do on that show, where they're like dropping banners and having shenanigans and having guys come out and play trumpets and stuff and talking about their fandoms, is it's fun. Sports is supposed to be fun. Listening to Mike Greenberg cry about Aaron Rodgers and the Jets every morning, 5 days a week is not fun. I think what they do on First Things First is fun. I'm done. I'm going to step up my soapbox. Screw the Cowboys. Screw Dak Prescott. Who cares? They're mid. They're worse than mid. They're not going to matter ever again. Go Chiefs.
I think like one thing about the kind of like bias thing that's kind of silly too is like the narrative. Like, so many people want to say that that this game is rigged for the Chiefs, right? We were fortunate there was no really controversial call in this game, although I'm sure someone will find somewhere to aggregate this time tomorrow. But besides the double-sided coin that was clearly rigged for the Chiefs in this game, they won this game fair and square. But the whole like, oh, well, clearly the NFL wants the 31st sized market to get into this game. That's the thing that always just kind of like makes me chuckle. It's like, oh, yes, the NFL handpicking their Super Bowl, their two-time Super Bowl champion, Kansas City, Missouri champions. That's the part where it just kind of gets silly, or it's just like, okay, well, what are we doing here? Like, this is not how they would want it. This is clearly not. And like, also, by the way, like the other two best quarterbacks in the NFL live in Baltimore and Buffalo. Like, not really exactly booming metropolises, right? Like, I'm sure that's not how they want that to go.
Yeah, no, not Hakeem Olajuwon. No Patrick Ewing with the alleged cold envelope, right? So that way you can make sure he went to New York. Yeah, that's not happening. All right, time now for the Arrowheads. Patrick, we're doing Arrowheads now. It's 12:30, Patrick.
What, man, I don't care. Dude, I got a 5-month-old. Like, I'm gonna be up all night anyway. Let's just keep on.
You can keep going. You can keep this train rolling all night long.
You know,
like
Sterling gets married. Sterling gets married, and all of a sudden he's soft. He's tired.
That's right. Dad bods are built diff.
Yeah, it's right.
Yeah, busy man, boys.
We're gonna give out some Arrowheads. I want to say one more thing on the whole national media Cowboys bullshit. There's somebody that we mentioned on this podcast tonight that is worth your time, and often this is the case, and it's the writers. Bill Barnwell, ESPN, worth the cost alone of an ESPN Plus membership, because a lot of his stuff is behind the paywall. Bill Barnwell will write about every team. He comes out with deep, insightful columns. He doesn't always talk about the Chiefs, but he does a lot on multiple NFL teams every week. There's great content on ESPN Plus on that platform, documentaries, all that stuff. It's definitely worth a buy. Barnwell alone, when you buy something like that, you're supporting a guy like him as well, who you should follow on Twitter. Do it. Just do it. Trust me. If you're looking for better coverage, go to arrowheadaddict.com and read Bill Barnwell. Okay, let's give out some Arrowheads. Price, why don't you kick us off, man?
First off, I found this funny. I'm too emotionally invested in the game to watch the Manning cast, especially the Chiefs are on it. But I guess have you seen the headstand trend that's going around the NFL? Eli Manning did it when the Chiefs hit their walk-off touchdown, which is kind of funny to watch him trying to do a headstand. I'll leave some gravy for you guys because there's some obvious candidates. I'm going to go with George Karlaftis. George Karlaftis really popped in this game. A pass defense, a sack, another tackle for a loss. Honestly, should have had 2 sacks if it wasn't for a super, super soft defensive pass interference that's called on Trent McDuffie. Karlaftis has been coming on here of late. He is kind of like the extra sauce to this pass rush. Add in Joshua Uche, Mike Dana, Charles Omenihu back soon. Love to see it. Defense, I think that they played hard tonight in a game that honestly they didn't have all the help that they needed sometimes when it came to how the game was officiated and also how the special team set them up. Like they had a 45-yard punt return that kind of like, or a kick return that instantly led to a touchdown. But George Karlaftis gets my Arrowhead tonight.
Great call out. He's been the same guy all season. Every game, he's got like a handful of plays. You're like, Furious George, man, huge, batting down passes, doing whatever needs done. Love George. Sterling, what about you, man?
Yeah, thanks for taking mine. Appreciate that.
I tried to leave you the easy ones.
I know. I like having fun ones. I'll go with the one obvious one, which is Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt was just incredible in this game. The fact that he's always able to fall forward and keep his legs going, let the offensive line push him. Like even on that 3rd and 1, or what was that, 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, whatever that was, a 4th and 1. We thought he was stopped behind the line of scrimmage, then he got it. Like just multiple times, you think he's done, the play is over, and all of a sudden you see him squirm for 2 yards. Now it's 4 yards. Always impressed with Kareem Hunt right there. So Kareem Hunt gets one. Second one's McCole Hardman. McCole Hardman's punt return was outstanding. Got injured. That shoulder came back in the game. Had a couple nice plays once he came back. McCole Hardman has been a really underrated cog to the Chiefs this season. Obviously last year as well. Just his entire tenure in KC. I think he's been almost slightly underrated now. I feel like everyone always rips on where he was drafted. And then you're sitting here going, yeah, he's been a part of so many great moments. He's still kicking it. He's still effective. It's not Andy Isabella, right? I know you could have had your druthers. No, it's not DK Metcalf, but it's also not Andy Isabella. He's a contributor, a great special teamer. And I think McCole Hardman at this point is now underrated in Chiefs Kingdom. He's a major impact on special teams. Shout out to McCole Hardman.
Let us know in the chat who gets an Arrowhead for you in this one. I got to start us off with the MVP of the game, Todd Bowles. Earns his Arrowhead by not going for 2 and calling an untimely timeout down there on the goal line. Really appreciate him for that. Look, man, we got to give one to Travis Kelce. All the shit he's taken, Todd McShay going out there and saying he's fat and out of shape. 14 receptions. 14 receptions in this game.
Career high.
Yeah, for 100 yards, targeted 16 times. He was the offense in this game. He was the chain mover for the Chiefs, and they needed him. Like, they really needed. This was not a game they were going to win if Travis didn't show up. He did. I know he had the fumble. It was a caught. The thing about Travis and these fumbles, he has one a year, and he always loses it. And it really, for whatever reason, it really always seems to come at like a really inopportune time. Like they're moving, they're about to score, end of a game. Like, I don't know what it is, but I'm glad he got it out of the way and the Chiefs still won, because that's it. He's not going to fumble again for the rest of the season. I'm knocking on wood. So shout out to Travis. Unbelievable game for him. Taylor was in the house, so obviously he turned it up a little bit. And then we got to give one to his first ever, DeAndre Hopkins, man. 8 receptions, 86 yards, 2 tutties. Man, just it's so amazing to see him out there doing what he's doing, because things have been so bad in the wide receiver core for so long. And I'm going to go to bed tonight and I'm just going to think about, oh my God, like what if Hollywood Brown comes back for the stretch run and Xavier Worthy develops? And then I'm going to, if I can't get to sleep, I'm going to think a little bit more about, man, what if the Chiefs bring DeAndre Hopkins back on a sweetheart deal after winning the Super Bowl, and Rashee Rice, DeAndre Hopkins, Hollywood Brown, and Xavier Worthy are our receivers next year? That makes me very, 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 very excited. Let's see. You know what? He gets one a lot, and I'm going to give it to him again. Justin Watson.
Oh,
Justin Watson. I mean, 3 receptions for 43 yards on 4 targets. Always comes up with key catches. And I think now that the Chiefs have DeAndre Hopkins and they've got Kelce going, now Watson can do Watson things. If you need to rely on him, if teams are able to focus on him, he's not good enough to do what you need him to do. But now he's right in the perfect place with his skill set to take advantage of man coverage and make key plays for this Chiefs team. Super reliable. He's fantastic. Love him. Good win. 8-0. The Kansas City Chiefs, undefeated. And next week, a noon kick against the Denver Broncos.
Oh, son of a... That means I can't golf in the morning. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Come on,
noon
NFL.
kick. Noon
Come
kick,
on, flex it.
CBS.
325. Come on.
And
Flex it.
this...
325 is awful if you've got kids, man. It's just like right in the
No, it's
middle
on
of
you.
family time. It's
It's
terrible.
on you. It's on
You're
you,
right.
Bryce.
I need to take
What's
a
great
back.
if you don't have kids is we can do on Sundays if the Chiefs play at 325 is golf in the morning and then watch the Chiefs game.
I'll live vicariously through you. Hey, there's a good tweet from Benjamin Solak. Travis Kelce is the first 35-year-old or older player with 14 catches at any position. Period. Shout out for the team, the old heads. Travis Kelce getting it done.
Unbelievable. All right, everybody. Listen, it's a short week. Big time grudge match against the Broncos. They have a really good defense. Offense isn't so good. Chiefs are going to need to execute against a division rival on Sunday at Arrowhead. And if they can do that and move to 9-0 the following week, the Buffalo Bills, baby, they can pretty much lock up that 1 seed if they could take care of business against the Buffalo Bills. But don't overlook the Denver Broncos, who do some things well. And it'll be fun to beat Sean Payton. All right, we'll be back tomorrow with Tuesdays with Sterling and our regular slate of shows. So make sure you tune in for that. We'll get you ready with a game preview on Thursday on my show, the OG Hour. And then we'll be back on Sunday with our regular pregame, halftime, and postgame show. Shout out to Adam Best, Matt Connor, Price, Sterling, producer Richard, making this whole thing work today. We appreciate you all. And shout out once again to Todd Bowles for not going for 2. My name is Patrick Allen. This is the Arrowhead Addict Podcast. We'll see you guys tomorrow. But until then, as always, go Chiefs.